Hello and welcome to the website. My name is Ian Kresge, and this video is brought to you by my sanity, which is slowly disappearing. So you should probably pick something up while it's still on clearance. Okay. Today's video, I want to talk about the 5 mistakes I see beginning bass players make. And it's not just beginners, it's also, like intermediate, anyone who's in like their first couple years of playing. I myself have been playing for 16 years, since I was about 13. You could do that math if you want to see how freaking old I am. The first mistake that you're probably making if you're just starting out bass is thinking about buying a bass that's like too expensive. There's many reasons why you shouldn't get a really good bass for your first one or even maybe your second one. It's that your skills aren't good enough to make it worthwhile. Like, you're still just learning the basics. You could learn the basics on any instrument. It doesn't matter what it is. Does it make a sound? That's it. That's the only criteria that you need. My first one was this one. It's a Yamaha something. I just went to Guitar Center because I was 13. I brought my dad, meaning my dad brought me because I couldn't do anything at age 13. It was maybe $80 or something. Could be secondhand. Probably should be secondhand if anything. I wouldn't spend any more than $200. Could you go and pick up a nice, Stingray or like someone's signature or something like that for like your first bass? Sure, but you'd be kind of wasting it. And everyone just kind of wants a new instrument now and then. You kind of just need some new inspiration, and you should have that inspiration later on in your career more so than the beginning. To put this in perspective, like my second bass, which is still too early on to be spending this much, it was $1,600. So I saved up all the money to get it. I had to like pre-order it from like a shop because they didn't just sell it in stores. And so I got it and I played it for 7 years. And it took me 7 years to realize I actually hated it. If you're a beginner, you're just trying to learn the basics, and any instrument will do that as long as it's an actual bass. Mistake number 2 is practicing bad technique. Listen, you can perfect bad technique. I've probably done it over the years, and there's certain things that there's certain limitations that I have, which I'll probably do an entire video about at some point. You can practice bad technique and make it sound okay, but it will limit you in the future. Let me give you an example. Right hand technique, plucking with the fingers, is one of the most important, aspects of your playing because it's what actually produces the sound. And if you get into some bad habits like plucking like this, it will hinder you like at later stages. I promise you that. I can't tell you how hard it is to correct something that you've done for years. And I'm still kind of paying for that in some aspects of my playing. Just for reference, there's so many resources to learn bass online for free. I didn't have YouTube channels when I was growing up. YouTube didn't even start yet. Like, there was just, you had teachers. We just had teachers, or you had to go to a Guitar Center and get like a book. I do recommend getting an in-person teacher who can actually look at your, individual habits and be able to correct them in person. Based on what's happening right now, at least in most parts of the world, that's not really possible. I think getting a teacher in the first bit of playing, like the first couple years, is more important than anything after that. Mistake number 3 is not learning a bit of theory. You don't need that much music theory to sound really, really good. I know so many musicians that don't know any music theory, which I honestly find surprising. And I don't think I'd be able to play how I do without the amount of music theory that I have learned, or at least have had to learn. I had to learn music theory from when I was like age 6, when I was forced to play piano, an instrument that I can't stand. You don't need to have years of training in music theory. It's great if you can do that and want to do that, but just learning the basics of like what is necessary is so much better than doing nothing. Learn your major scales, learn your minor scales, learn your pentatonics, learn all the 7th chords. I would say that as a bass player, that's probably very, very useful. I don't want to get too far into this because I don't want this video to be like 20 minutes long. If you want to learn about that, please comment down below and, maybe I'll make a few videos on that. Mistake number 4 is something I do to this day, and that's comparing your progress to anybody else but yourself. There is always going to be someone better than you. I'm somewhat active on Instagram, and based on what I post and what I search, I get a lot of bass player content, and there's so many insane players on Instagram. You see all these like crazy talented people that a lot of them are younger than you. You have to just judge yourself and see, are you better than you were last week, last month, last year? Do you have to practice more? Do you have to try to perform more to get your your skills up with performing in front of a live audience, or in front of a camera, which is something I'm still working on. Mistake number 5 is what I'm gonna call focusing on the 10% rather than the 90%. What I mean by that is focusing on things that don't matter that much and neglecting things more than you should on things that matter a lot. What this really boils down to is practicing the wrong things, practicing things that don't really matter that much. They may be fun and you should still incorporate them into like your practice routine, but like they shouldn't make up the bulk of it. Trying to learn to slap in your first year, I think is dumb. In your first like few years, focus your time on actually practicing things that matter. Practice consistency. Can you play the same song 3 times in a row and they all are like generally the same, or are you like screwing up in like certain bits? Or even just being able to like, someone gives you a chord progression and you can like look at it and make a bass line, even just in your head first, of like what is actually going to complement it, no matter how basic that is, and being able to execute that. Also, just spending money on things that's like not necessary in like your first few years. Why are you buying pedals in like year 2? You don't need a compressor pedal in year 1. You just need a bass that makes a sound, and you need a cheap ass amp. And that's pretty much it. Anyway, that's pretty much it. You know, I want to do more of these like tip videos. For one, I've thought a lot about this stuff in the past, few months since I've, started doing like YouTube like really regularly, and I just have a lot of ideas. Let me know if you'd like, this kind of like POV of just like, talking into this to that. Sorry for the point. And also I have this new background, which is just me closer to the wall. So I don't have to clean up anything over there, which I had to do every time when I recorded a bass video. Let me know down in the comments of any songs that you want me to cover on bass in the future. Make sure to like this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you are new, and follow me on Instagram if you want to ruin your day. And